The stars looked cold through the viewing window of the UES Resilience. Captain Dahyun stood there with his hands behind his back, watching the distant lights. He had been doing this job for 20 years now, protecting human ships, fighting pirates, keeping people safe. It was simple work, but it mattered. Behind him, the bridge crew worked quietly. Lieutenant Ji-won sat at the weapons station, checking systems like she did every morning. Engineer Minho was somewhere below, probably taking apart something that worked perfectly fine. That was just how he was. The communication system made a sound. A young officer named Hana looked up from her station. Her face showed worry. "Captain, I am getting a distress signal. It is the Harvest Moon. They are a mining ship." Dahyun turned around. The Harvest Moon was a civilian ship. It carried no weapons, just miners trying to make a living. "What is wrong?" he asked. Hana listened to her headphones. "They say they crossed into Coalition space by accident. Coalition ships are there now. They are telling the Harvest Moon to surrender." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone knew about the Galactic Coalition. They were the biggest empire in the known universe. They had conquered 73 galaxies. Their ships were powerful. Their weapons could destroy planets. Nobody fought the Coalition. Nobody won against them. Ji-won spoke without looking up from her station. "Captain, if we go there, the Coalition will see it as an act of war." "I know," Dahyun said. "Those miners have families," Ji-won continued. "But so do we. So does everyone on Earth." Dahyun closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his own family back on Earth, his sister, her children. He thought about all the people who trusted him to make the right choice. Then he thought about the miners on the Harvest Moon. They had families too. "Set course for the Harvest Moon," he said. "Maximum speed." The Resilience turned in space and started moving. The ship was not big compared to Coalition vessels. It was just a destroyer, one ship. But it was fast and it was ready. They arrived 30 minutes later. The Harvest Moon was there, surrounded by 3 Coalition scout ships. The scouts were small but heavily armed. They could destroy the mining ship easily. Dahyun opened a communication channel. A Coalition officer appeared on the screen. The alien had 4 arms and blue skin. Its eyes looked at Dahyun like he was an insect. "Human ship," the alien said. "You're in Coalition space. Leave now or be destroyed." "That mining ship made a navigation error," Dahyun replied. "Let them go. We will leave your space peacefully." The alien made a sound like laughter. It was not a friendly sound. "Errors have consequences. The mining ship is now Coalition property. Its crew will serve us. You have 10 seconds to leave." Ji-won looked at Dahyun. "Captain?" Dahyun kept his eyes on the screen. He spoke slowly and clearly. "No." The alien stopped moving. It looked surprised. Probably nobody had ever said no to the Coalition before. "What did you say?" the alien asked. "I said no. Those people are coming home with us. You can let them go or you can try to stop us." The screen went black. The Coalition ships powered up their weapons. Ji-won turned to her station. "They are targeting us, Captain. Shields up. Weapons ready. Get the Harvest Moon behind us." The Resilience moved between the Coalition ships and the mining vessel. It was a small gesture, but it meant everything. One human ship standing between an empire and innocent people. The Coalition ships opened fire. Blue energy beams hit the Resilience's shields. The ship shook. Alarms started ringing. "Return fire," Dahyun ordered. The Resilience's weapons came to life. Red missiles streaked across space. They hit one of the Coalition ships. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. The other 2 Coalition ships stopped firing. They seemed confused. "How did a human ship just destroy one of them?" Ji-won smiled. "They thought we would be easy." "They were wrong," Dahyun said. "Hana, tell the Harvest Moon to start moving." "Get them out of here." The mining ship started moving slowly. The 2 remaining Coalition ships tried to chase it. The Resilience blocked their path. More energy beams. More missiles. The battle was fast and violent. The Resilience took damage, but it gave as good as it got. Another Coalition ship exploded. The last one turned and ran away. The bridge crew cheered. They had won. 3 Coalition ships against 1 human destroyer, and they had won. But Dahyun did not cheer. He knew this was just the beginning. "Captain," Hana said quietly, "I am picking up a transmission. The Coalition ship that escaped is calling for help." "How many ships are they calling?" Ji-won asked. Hana listened. Her face went pale. "All of them. They are calling their entire battle group. The celebration stopped. Everyone looked at Dae-hyun. "How many ships in a battle group?" he asked. 12, Captain. 12 coalition warships against one human destroyer. The odds were impossible. Everyone on the bridge knew it. Minho's voice came through the communication system. "Captain, I am hearing this down in engineering. Do you want me to prepare the jump drive? We can still run." Dae-hyun looked at the harvest moon on his screen. The mining ship was moving away slowly. The miners were safe for now. But if the Resilience ran, the coalition would chase the mining ship. They would catch it. Everyone on board would die or be enslaved. If the Resilience stayed and fought, at least the miners would have time to escape. "No," Dae-hyun said. "We are not running. Minho, get the engines ready for combat maneuvers. Ji-won, prepare all weapons. Hana, send a message to Earth Fleet Command. Tell them what happened here. Tell them we are engaging the coalition." "Captain," Ji-won said, "we cannot win this fight." Dae-hyun looked at her. Then he looked at the rest of his crew. These people trusted him. They followed him into danger because they believed in what they were doing. "Maybe we cannot win," he said, "but we can make them pay for every meter of space. We can show them that humans do not surrender. And we can give those miners time to get home." The crew looked at each other. Then one by one they nodded. They understood. This was not about winning. This was about standing up for what was right, no matter the cost. "The coalition fleet is approaching," Hana reported. 12 warships. They will be here in 15 minutes. Dae-hyun sat down in his command chair. He took a deep breath. "All hands, this is the captain. Battle stations. Today we show the galaxy what humans are made of." The Resilience waited in the darkness of space. One small ship against an empire. One crew ready to fight impossible odds. The battle for humanity's honor was about to begin. The 12 coalition warships came out of jump space like angry gods. Each one was 3 times bigger than the Resilience. Their weapons could turn a moon into dust. Their shields could stop any attack humanity had ever made. The coalition commander opened a communication channel. His name was High Commander Veltharis. He was an insectoid alien with 4 arms and eyes that glowed red. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding metal. "Human ship, you destroyed coalition property. You will surrender now. We will be merciful. We will only execute your captain. The rest of you will serve the coalition as slaves." Dae-hyun looked at the screen. He saw the massive ship surrounding his small destroyer. He saw the weapons pointed at him. He knew he was going to die today. They all were, but he did not feel afraid. He felt calm. "We decline your offer," he said. Veltharis made a sound that might have been laughter, or maybe anger. It was hard to tell. "Then you will all die. Your species will remember this day as the moment they learned their place in the universe." "Maybe," Dae-hyun replied, "but you will remember it too." He closed the channel. Then he turned to his crew. "Minho, take us into the asteroid field. Full speed." The Resilience turned and flew toward a nearby field of floating rocks. Some of the asteroids were as big as cities. Others were small but sharp. The field was dangerous. Ships could crash. Navigation was hard, but humans had been mining asteroids for 200 years. They knew how to move between the rocks. The coalition did not. The 12 coalition warships followed. They were confident. Why would they worry about a few rocks? The Resilience weaved between the asteroids like a dancer. Up, down, left, right. Minho flew the ship perfectly. Every turn was precise. Every movement was calculated. The coalition ships were too big, too slow. They could not match the Resilience's movements. 2 of them crashed into asteroids. The rocks tore through their hulls. The ships exploded in fire and metal. 2 down, Ji-won reported. 10 remaining. Good. Now let us make them angrier. Dae-hyun had a plan. It was dangerous and probably stupid, but it was the only chance they had. Ji-won had placed mines throughout the asteroid field before the coalition arrived. Small explosives that looked like rocks. Now she waited for the perfect moment. 3 coalition ships came close together, trying to corner the Resilience. They thought they had the human ship trapped. "Now," Dae-hyun said. Ji-won pressed a button. The mines exploded. Fire bloomed in space. The 3 coalition ships were caught in the blast. Their shields failed. Their hulls cracked. They died in seconds. 5 coalition ships destroyed. 7 remaining. The crew of the Resilience could not believe it. They were winning, but High Commander Veltharis was done playing. He ordered his remaining ships to spread out. They stopped chasing the Resilience. Instead, they began firing at the asteroids themselves. Huge beams of energy cut through the rocks. Explosions shattered the field. Soon there would be nowhere to hide. "Captain, they are destroying our cover," Minho said. "I see it." "G1, how many missiles do we have left?" 20. "And torpedoes?"
6, not enough.
Not nearly enough to destroy 7 coalition warships, Daehyun thought fast. They needed something unexpected. Something the coalition would never see coming. Then he had an idea. It was crazy. It would probably kill them all. But at least they would take some coalition ships with them. "Minho, I need you to overload the reactor. Make it look like we are losing power." "Captain, if I do that, we might actually lose power." "I know. Do it anyway." Minho worked his magic in the engineering room. Lights began flickering on the Resilience. The engines sputtered. The ship slowed down. The coalition ships noticed immediately. They stopped firing at the asteroids. They moved closer, surrounding the Resilience like sharks around wounded prey. Veltharis appeared on the screen again. He looked pleased. "Your ship is dying, human. Surrender now and I will make your death quick." Daehyun looked at his crew one last time. Ji-won gave him a small nod. Minho sent a message from engineering that just said 2 words, "Ready when you are." Hana had tears in her eyes, but her hands were steady. Good people. Brave people. They deserved better than this. "I have a counteroffer," Daehyun said to Veltharis. "How about we take you with us?" He cut the communication and shouted to his crew. "All hands, abandon ship. Get to the escape pods now." The crew ran. They moved fast, following the emergency procedures they had practiced 100 times. Within 90 seconds, everyone was in an escape pod. Everyone except Daehyun. He sat alone on the bridge. His hands moved over the controls. He set a course directly at Veltharis's flagship. "Maximum speed. No stopping. Captain, what are you doing?" Ji-won's voice came through his communication device. "Get to a pod. Someone needs to fly the ship," he said calmly. "We can set it on autopilot. The coalition will shoot it down before it gets close. They need to think someone is still here. They need to believe they can still capture us." Silence on the communication line. Ji-won understood. They all did. The Resilience accelerated, faster and faster. The coalition ships did not fire. They thought the human captain was trying to ram them in a final desperate act. They thought they could just move out of the way at the last second. They were wrong. At the last possible moment, Daehyun pressed a button. His command chair launched backward, throwing him into an emergency escape tube. The tube shot him out into space toward where his crew waited. The Resilience, now truly on autopilot but moving too fast to stop, crashed into Veltharis's flagship. The impact was massive. Metal screamed. Fire exploded. The flagship broke in half. Both ships died together. The remaining coalition ships stopped. They floated in space, their commanders too shocked to give orders. A human ship had just destroyed their leader. High Commander Veltharis, who had conquered 30 galaxies, was dead, killed by one small destroyer. The coalition ships retreated. They jumped away, leaving the debris behind. They needed to report what happened. They needed to tell their leaders about the humans who refused to die. The harvest moon appeared from where it had been hiding. The mining ship collected all the escape pods. One by one, the crew of the Resilience came aboard. They were bruised and exhausted, but alive. Daehyun was the last one brought in. Ji-won and Minho helped him walk. His ribs were broken from the ejection. His left arm hung at a wrong angle. But he was smiling. "We won," he said. "We survived, Captain. That is not the same as winning." Daehyun looked out at the debris field. The wreckage of the Resilience floated among destroyed coalition ships. His ship was gone. But 12 coalition vessels were gone too. "Yes, it is," he said. "We sent them a message. We showed them that humans do not surrender. We showed them that we will fight no matter the odds." Hana came running from the communication station. Her face was white with fear. "Captain, I am picking up multiple jump signatures. Big ones. The coalition is sending their entire 7th fleet." "How many ships?" Ji-won asked. Hana swallowed hard before answering. 300? The room went silent. 300 warships. Against one mining vessel with no weapons. They had won the battle. But the war was just beginning. Space exploded with weapons fire. The Allied fleet crashed into the coalition formation like a hammer. Human ships flew with desperation and courage. Rebel vessels fought with centuries of built-up rage. Together they were powerful. The UES Defiance led the charge. Admiral Yeji commanded from the bridge, her voice calm and steady. She had studied Captain Daehyun's tactics from the earlier battles. She knew how he thought. She knew how to fight against superior numbers. All ships, stay mobile. Do not let them surround you. Use their size against them, she ordered. The human destroyers danced between the larger coalition ships. They were smaller, faster, harder to hit. They struck and moved, struck and moved. The coalition tried to respond, but their ships were too big, too slow. The rebel ships knew coalition tactics better than anyone. They had served under coalition command for years. They knew where to hit. They knew the weak points. Every shot counted. On the damaged Harvest Moon, Daehyun watched through his tactical display. His ship was dying, but he could still coordinate. He opened a channel to Admiral Yeji. Admiral, the coalition flagship is in the center of their formation. If we can take it down, their coordination will break. Agreed, Captain. But their flagship has the strongest shields. We need something heavy to break through. Daehyun looked at the burning wreck around him. The Harvest Moon was finished. Its reactor was failing. The hull was breached. It had maybe 10 minutes left. 10 minutes could be enough. Admiral, I have an idea. Get everyone off this ship. Then clear me a path to the flagship. There was silence on the communication line. Yeji understood immediately what Daehyun was planning. Captain, no. We did not come all this way to watch you die. You came to win this battle. This is how we win. Now get my people out of here. That is an order, Admiral. Yeji closed her eyes for a moment. Then she gave the orders. Human ships moved close to the Harvest Moon. They began evacuating the crew. Ji-won refused to leave. So did Minho and Hana. They stood with Daehyun on the bridge. You should go, Daehyun said. No, Ji-won replied simply. You need a weapons officer. You need an engineer, Minho added. Someone has to keep this wreck flying long enough. And you need someone to tell your story, Hana said quietly. I am still broadcasting. The galaxy needs to see how this ends. Daehyun looked at them. These brave, foolish, wonderful people. His crew, his friends. All right, he said. Let us finish this together. The Allied fleet carved a path through the coalition ships. They paid for every meter in blood and fire. Ships died on both sides. The battle was brutal and terrible, but they cleared the path. The Harvest Moon, barely holding together, began moving forward. Minho pushed the engines beyond their limits. The ship groaned and shook. Parts fell off. Explosions rippled through the decks. But it kept moving. Supreme Commander Kyrith watched the damaged mining ship approach. She did not understand at first. What could one dying vessel do against her flagship? Then she understood. The humans were going to ram her, just like Captain Daehyun had rammed High Commander Veltharis. All weapons, destroy that ship, she ordered. Energy beams slammed into the Harvest Moon. The ship lost its engines, then its navigation, then everything except life support and one single thruster. But it was enough. The ship drifted forward on momentum, straight toward the flagship. On the bridge, alarms screamed. Fire spread through the corridors. The air was getting thin. 30 seconds to impact, Ji-won reported. Everyone to the escape pod, Daehyun ordered. Now they ran. The four of them, racing through burning corridors. Behind them, the ship was falling apart. Ahead of them, one last escape pod waited. They reached it with 10 seconds to spare. They piled inside. Minho slammed the launch button. The pod shot away from the Harvest Moon just as the mining ship hit the coalition flagship. The explosion was massive. The Harvest Moon's reactor went critical on impact. The blast tore through the flagship's shields like paper. Metal screamed. Fire bloomed. Both ships died in a ball of light bright enough to see from across the solar system. Supreme Commander Kyrith died instantly. So did 3,000 coalition soldiers. The escape pod tumbled through space. Inside, Daehyun and his crew were battered but alive. Barely. Through the small window, they watched the coalition fleet. Without their commander, without their flagship, the enemy formation began to break apart. Ships collided with each other. Orders went unheard. Chaos spread. And then something amazing happened. Coalition ships began to stop firing. Not all of them, but enough. Crews were refusing orders. Soldiers were questioning their commanders. The broadcast had done its work. The seeds of rebellion had been planted across the coalition fleet. Some coalition ships turned on their own fleet. Civil war erupted in the middle of the battle. The empire that had ruled for millennia was tearing itself apart. The Allied forces pressed their advantage. They fought hard, but they also offered surrender to coalition ships that wanted out. Many took the offer. By the time the UES Defiance recovered Daehyun's escape pod, the battle was over. The coalition 7th Fleet was destroyed. Some ships had been blown apart. Others had surrendered. A few had run away. The victory was complete. Daehyun woke up in the medical bay of the Defiance. His whole body hurt. Doctors said he had 3 cracked ribs, a concussion, and burns across his back. But he was alive. Admiral Yeji came to see him. She looked tired but happy. "Captain Daehyun, you are awake. Good. The doctor said you would make a full recovery." "My crew?" he asked, all alive. "Lieutenant Jiwon is already planning our next battle. Engineer Minho is helping us repair the fleet. Ensign Hana is being called the voice of freedom across 12 galaxies. They are heroes, Captain. You all are." Daehyun closed his eyes. They had done it. Against all odds, they had won. "Admiral, what is the situation? Is Earth safe?" Yeji's smile faded. She sat down in a chair beside his bed. "The coalition is collapsing, Captain. Rebellions are breaking out everywhere. We are winning. But the Coalition Council is not accepting defeat. They have declared humanity as enemies of the universe. They are mobilizing their central armada." "How many ships?" Daehyun asked, though he feared the answer. 10,000, led by their supreme leader personally. "And Captain, they are not coming here. They are going to Earth. They want to destroy humanity at its source." Daehyun felt his blood run cold. 10,000 ships, all heading to Earth, to his home, to his family. "When will they arrive?" he asked. 3 weeks? Maybe less. We are gathering every ship we can, every ally. But Captain, I do not know if it will be enough. Daehyun sat up, ignoring the pain. 3 weeks. They had 3 weeks to save Earth, 3 weeks to save humanity. "Then we better not waste time," he said. "Get me out of this bed, Admiral. We have work to do." Yeji looked at him. This captain who had started this whole war by refusing to abandon miners. This man who had turned one ship into a symbol of resistance. This human who simply would not give up. "Yes, Captain," she said. "We have work to do." Across the galaxy, the Allied forces began to move. Human ships, rebel vessels, and freed slaves all turned toward Earth. They were outnumbered. They were outgunned. But they had something the coalition did not. They had hope. And they had learned from Captain Daehyun that sometimes standing your ground is the only choice that matters. The final battle was coming. The battle for Earth. The battle that would decide the fate of the entire galaxy, and humanity would be ready. Earth hung in space like a blue jewel. From orbit, it looked peaceful. But everyone knew that peace would not last. The Coalition Central Armada was coming. 10,000 warships carrying death. Captain Daehyun stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance looking at his home planet. He had not been back to Earth in 5 years. He wondered if he would ever walk on its surface again. The Allied fleet gathered around Earth. 2,000 ships from 100 different species. It was the largest force ever assembled against the coalition. But it was still not enough. Admiral Yeji called a meeting of all ship commanders. They gathered virtually, their faces appearing on screens across the fleet. Humans, aliens, former coalition soldiers, all united against a common enemy. "We are outnumbered 5-1, Yeji said. "The coalition has better weapons, stronger shields, and more experience. By all logical calculations, we cannot win this battle." The commanders looked grim. They all knew the numbers. They all knew what they were facing. "But," Yeji continued, "we have something they do not. We have a reason to fight. We have homes to protect. We have families waiting for us. And we have learned that sometimes standing your ground is enough." She looked at Daehyun. Everyone did. The captain who started it all. The man who turned one ship into a revolution. "Captain Daehyun will coordinate our defense. He has beaten impossible odds before. He will help us do it again." Daehyun felt the weight of 2,000 ships on his shoulders, but he stood straight. He had a plan. It was risky and would cost lives, but it was their only chance. The coalition arrived 3 days later. 10,000 ships came out of jump space in perfect formation. They surrounded Earth completely. There was no escape. No running. This was the final stand. The coalition's supreme leader opened a communication channel. She was ancient and powerful, a being who had lived for 3,000 years. Her name was Empress Valara, and she had conquered more worlds than anyone in history. "Humans," she said. Her voice was cold and final. You have caused enough chaos. You have inspired rebellions. You have killed our commanders. You have challenged the natural order of the universe. For these crimes, your species will be exterminated. We will leave no trace that humanity ever existed, Daehyun responded calmly. Inside, his heart was racing. But his voice stayed steady. Empress Valara, we have a counteroffer. Leave now. Turn your fleet around, go home. We will let you leave in peace. The Empress made a sound like laughter. It was not a happy sound. You are surrounded. You are outnumbered. You cannot win. Yet you still make demands. Humans are either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both, Daehyun said. But we will not surrender. If you want Earth, you will have to take it. And we will make you pay for every meter. So be it. All ships begin the bombardment. I want that planet turned to ash. The Coalition fleet opened fire, 10,000 ships firing at once. The sky filled with weapons fire. It was like watching the end of the world. But Earth's defenses were ready. Planetary shields activated. Orbital weapons platforms fired back. The Allied fleet charged into the Coalition formation, disrupting their attack. The battle was chaos. Ships exploded everywhere. The Allied forces fought with everything they had. They used every trick Daehyun had taught them. They were mobile, unpredictable, desperate, but it was not enough. The Coalition was too strong. The shields around Earth began to fail. Cities prepared for bombardment. Billions of people looked up at the sky and waited for death. Then Minho's voice came through the communication system. He had been working in secret for 3 weeks, preparing something special. Captain, I am ready. Sending the signal now. A pulse of energy spread from Earth, moving at light speed. It passed through the Coalition fleet harmlessly. The Empress thought it was some kind of failed weapon. She was wrong. The signal was not a weapon. It was a message, a code that Minho and rebel engineers had spent weeks creating. It reached every ship in the Coalition fleet. Not the commanders. Not the officers. The signal went to the crew, the enslaved species, the conquered peoples who served the Coalition against their will. The message was simple. Freedom is here. Take it. Across the Coalition fleet, rebellion erupted. Crew members turned on their officers. Engineers sabotaged their own ships. Soldiers refused to fight. The fleet that had come to destroy Earth began tearing itself apart from within. Empress Valara watched in horror as her carefully organized armada descended into chaos. Ships collided with each other. Weapons fired at random. Her empire was collapsing in real time. Daehyun did not waste the opportunity. He ordered the Allied fleet to target specific ships. The ones still loyal to the Coalition. The ones trying to maintain order. Jiwon coordinated the attack brilliantly. She had become one of the best tactical commanders in the fleet. Every shot counted. Every missile found its target. The tide turned. The Coalition fleet broke completely. Ships began surrendering. Others jumped away, running for their lives. The mighty armada that came to destroy humanity was now fleeing in panic. Empress Valara's flagship tried to escape, but rebel ships surrounded her. Former slaves who had served under her command now pointed their guns at her. She sent one final message before her ship was destroyed. How? How did you beat us? We were stronger. We had more ships. We should have won. Daehyun answered her with words he had learned long ago, words that defined humanity. You ruled through fear. We fought for freedom. You conquered galaxies. We just stood our ground. That made all the difference. The flagship exploded. The Empress died. And with her, the Coalition died too. The battle was over. Earth was saved. Humanity had survived. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy transformed. The Coalition empire shattered into thousands of independent systems. Some chose peace. Others struggled with civil war. But all were free to make their own choices. The Allied fleet became the alliance of free worlds. Not an empire, not a government, just a loose cooperation of species who wanted to protect each other. Daehyun was offered many honors, medals, titles, positions of power. He declined them all. He had done what needed to be done. That was enough. Instead, he returned to what he did best, protecting people. He took command of a new destroyer, the UES Resilience II. It was named after the ship where it all began. Jiwon went with him as his first officer. Minho led the engineering team. Hana served as communications officer. The crew that started a revolution stayed together. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, Daehyun visited a memorial station. It floated in the space where the original resilience had been destroyed. The wreckage had been preserved as a monument. He stood alone looking at the twisted metal. He thought about the choice he made that day. To fight rather than run, to stand rather than surrender. That one choice had changed everything. Millions had died in the war that followed. But billions were now free. Was it worth it? He still did not know. Maybe he never would. But he knew they had made the only choice they could. Ji-won came to stand beside him. They looked at the wreckage together in silence. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we had run that day?" she asked. "Every day," Daehyun admitted. "But we did not run. We stood our ground. And somehow that was enough. It was more than enough, Captain. It changed the galaxy." They stood there for a while longer, remembering. Then they returned to their ship. There was still work to do. The galaxy was free, but freedom needed to be protected. As the Resilience 2 prepared to leave, Daehyun looked back one more time at the memorial. At the ship that started it all, he thought about what the Empress had asked. How did humans win? How did they beat an empire that had ruled for millennia? The answer was simple. Humans did not conquer galaxies. They did not build empires. They did not seek to rule others, they just stood their ground. And sometimes that was all it took to change the universe. The Harvest Moon limped through space. It was never meant to be a warship. It was just a mining vessel with old engines and weak shields. Now it carried the entire crew of the Resilience, and 300 coalition ships were coming for them. Daehyun sat in the medical bay while a doctor worked on his broken arm. The pain was bad, but he did not show it. He needed to think. He needed a plan. Ji-won came to see him. She looked tired. They all did. "The coalition fleet will be here in 6 hours, she said. "I sent a message to Earth. Even if they send help immediately, it will take days for reinforcements to arrive." "So we have 6 hours, Daehyun said. "Captain, we should run. This ship can still jump. We can reach human space before they catch us." Daehyun shook his head. Running meant leading 300 warships back to Earth. Running meant bringing war to humanity's doorstep. If they ran now, millions would die. "We stay," he said. "We hold this position. We buy Earth time to prepare." "Captain, that is suicide. We have one mining ship with no weapons. Then we make weapons. Minho can help us. We have 6 hours. Let us use them." Ji-won looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. If her captain wanted to fight, she would fight beside him. Minho gathered what was left of his engineering team. The mining ship had tools and materials. They could not build real weapons, but they could build something. They took mining lasers and modified them. The lasers were meant to cut rock, not attack ships. But a laser was a laser. With enough power, it could hurt even coalition armor. They took explosives meant for breaking asteroids and turned them into mines. They scattered these mines throughout the space around the ship. Not enough to stop 300 ships, but enough to make them bleed. The miners helped too. They might not be soldiers, but they knew how to work hard. They knew how to survive in difficult places. They built barricades inside the ship. They prepared emergency plans. They did everything they could. Hana had an idea. She was young and scared, but she was also smart. "Captain," she said, "what if we broadcast the battle? What if we let the whole galaxy see what happens?" Daehyun looked at her. He understood immediately. The coalition ruled through fear. They made people believe they were invincible. But if the galaxy watched humans fight back, if they saw one ship standing against an empire, it might inspire others. It might start rebellions across coalition space. "Do it," he said. "Broadcast everything. Let them watch." Hana set up communication relays. She hacked into coalition networks. Within an hour, she had channels open to 70 different galaxies. Billions of beings would watch this battle. The 6 hours passed too quickly. The coalition's 7th Fleet arrived exactly on time. 300 warships came out of jump space in perfect formation. They surrounded the Harvest Moon like wolves surrounding a wounded deer. A new commander appeared on the communication screen. She was different from Velteris, colder, more controlled. Her name was Supreme Commander Kirith. "Human Captain," she said. Her voice was calm but dangerous, like ice. "You killed High Commander Velteris. The Coalition Council has ordered your complete extermination. Not just you, not just your crew. Every human, every colony. Your entire species will be erased from the universe." Daehyun stood up. His arm was in a cast, but he stood straight. He looked at Kira through the screen. "You can try," he said, "but you will find that humans are very hard to kill. You are one mining ship. We are 300 warships. This is not bravery. This is stupidity. Maybe, but the whole galaxy is watching. So come on, Supreme Commander. Show them your power. Show them how the mighty coalition needs 300 ships to kill one human crew." Kyreth's eyes narrowed. She understood the trap. If she used all her ships against one mining vessel, she would look weak. But if she used less, the humans might escape. She made her choice. All ships open fire. I want nothing left. Not even dust. 300 ships fired at once. The sky turned bright with weapons fire. Energy beams, missiles, plasma cannons. Everything the coalition had, they threw at the harvest moon. The mining ship's shields lasted 3 seconds. Then the hull began to burn. Explosions ripped through the decks. People screamed. The ship was dying, but it did not die quietly. The mines Minho had placed activated. They detonated in chains, catching coalition ships in massive explosions. 30 ships died in the first wave. The modified mining lasers fired. They were weak compared to real weapons, but they were precise. G1 targeted engine systems and weapons ports. More coalition ships took damage. The crew of the Harvest Moon fought like demons. They used every trick they knew. They fired mining drones that confused coalition sensors. They vented atmosphere to throw off targeting systems. They did things no military manual would ever recommend. And across the galaxy, billions watched. They watched humans refuse to surrender. They watched one ship take down 50 coalition vessels before its weapons finally failed. They watched Captain Daehyun stand on his burning bridge and keep giving orders even as the ship fell apart around him. In coalition space on conquered worlds, people began to whisper, if humans could fight like this, maybe they could fight too. Maybe the coalition was not invincible. Rebellion started on 12 worlds that day, small acts of defiance, workers refusing orders, soldiers questioning commands. It was just the beginning, but it was something. On the Harvest Moon, Daehyun knew the end was close. The ship had no shields, no weapons. The hull was breached in 100 places. They had fought well, but they could not win. All hands, he said calmly. Abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. It has been an honor serving with you. The crew did not want to leave. They wanted to stay and fight to the end. But Daehyun ordered them to go, and they obeyed. One by one, they made their way to the escape pods. Daehyun stayed on the bridge with Jiwon and Minho. The three of them watched as the coalition fleet closed in. It was a good fight, Minho said. The best, Jiwon agreed. Daehyun smiled. He had no regrets. They had bought Earth time. They had inspired others. They had shown the galaxy what humans could do. That was enough. Then Hana's voice came through the communication system. She was crying and laughing at the same time. Captain, I am picking up jump signatures.
Lots of them.
Human ships. They are here. Daehyun looked at his tactical display. He could not believe what he was seeing. 30 human warships came out of jump space. Destroyers, frigates, and one massive battleship. The UES Defiance had arrived with the entire human battle fleet, but that was not all. Behind the human ships came others. Alien vessels flying flags Daehyun had never seen before. Ships from species he thought were completely loyal to the coalition. They had watched the broadcast. They had seen humans stand against impossible odds, and they decided to stand with them. A new voice came through the communication system, strong and clear. This is Admiral Yeji of the UES Defiance. Captain Daehyun, humanity heard your call. We are here. And we are not alone. Daehyun felt tears in his eyes. They had come. Against all odds, they had come. The coalition fleet suddenly faced a new problem. They still outnumbered the Allied forces, but not by much anymore. And these were not civilians. These were warships ready to fight. Supreme Commander Kirith looked at her tactical display. She saw human ships. She saw rebels. She saw her carefully planned execution turning into a real battle. She made a decision. All ships, engage. Destroy them all. The Battle of Liberation began, the largest space battle in galactic history. Coalition ships against an alliance of humans and rebels. The fight would decide the future of the entire galaxy. And Captain Daehyun, standing on his ruined bridge, knew one thing for certain. Humanity was no longer alone.